What if every hardship you've ever faced wasn't working against you, but working for you? Today's guest doesn't just teach that, he lives it. Peter Sage is an international serial entrepreneur, an expert in human behavior and a 7-time TEDx speaker. For decades, he has been helping people unlock their potential and see life from a completely different perspective. But what inspired me most isn't his resume, it's the way he lives his philosophy. He rode 3,000 miles across the Atlantic in the world's toughest row. He transformed a 6-month prison sentence into one of the most powerful books on resilience, The Inside Track. He doesn't just speak about overcoming adversity, he embodies it. In this conversation, we explore what it truly means to stop living as a victim, begin seeing life as something that's happening for you rather than to you, and discover why seeing the universe as a friendly place can change everything. If you're ready to challenge the way you think about life's greatest obstacles, you're going to love this conversation. Let's dive in. I had a question prepared, but after looking at your t-shirt and feel great now just popped up. Mm-hmm. So why do people want to feel great when, but not feel great now?
The reason most people, especially achievers, play the game of feel great when is that they are setting themselves up to go after goals that validate them as people, as entrepreneurs, as achievers, as, fill in the blank. And they play the game of when I get the goal, the money, the car, the body, the partner, then I'll feel good. Then I'll feel great. The challenge with that is that all you ever have is an eternal now. So if you give yourself permission to feel great now, you can enjoy the journey to get what it is that you want. That's a far better way of getting to the end of the movie of your life and looking back and having an amazing experience rather than denying yourself the ability to feel good until you set some arbitrary rules as to what has to happen for you to be able to feel good. That's not the way to play life.
Yeah. So you always mention the river has its own bends, but people always want to go from point A to point B in a straight way, and that is not really doable in life because we have imperfections, we have rights and lefts in life. So why do people doubt themselves on some turns of life, but when things are easy, they love it?
Because we've been trained, especially at school, that the fastest way, the most efficient way, the best way to get from A to B is a straight line. And while that may work on a 2-dimensional example on paper, it doesn't work in life. Why? There are no straight lines in nature. If you see a straight line, it's man-made. So if we try to apply linear thinking to a non-linear reality, then you're going to keep hitting the bends in the river. Every single river bends. Regardless of topography, regardless of country, every river winds. The river of life is no different. So when you realize that if you know you're in the right river, you don't care if it bends left or right. You learn how to trust the flow. In other words, you don't spend your life like most people do, fighting the current, swimming upstream. You spend your life instead becoming a good sailor, working with the current, flowing with the bends, rolling with the punches. So, okay, if this has happened, what am I going to do with it? So you free up the energy of resistance and you channel it into what's my next best move. Because most people are getting stressed trying to control what they can't control and trying to force their will onto reality. And we all know where that game leads. That's where Alan the Achiever becomes stressed out Simon, which leads into burnt out Barry, maybe heart attack Harry. And that's not a game anybody really wants to play. And most people are playing it at some level.
So you say there's 3 levels, actually 4, but let's speak about the 3 levels of consciousness, the main one. You spoke about the first one is the to me mode, second one is the by me mode, and the third one is through me mode. So most people are between to me and by me. Mm-hmm. So to me are the people who feels that the world is happening against them, so they're in a victim mode. Second one is by me, the achiever, like you said, who wants to bend things, and then he ends up spending the money he did on his health. So if someone wants to move from to me to by me, so you have to pass by me and then go to through me, or you can jump from to me to through me.
It's very rare that you'll jump or bounce through because there's lessons at each level that are worth learning. You don't teach a 6-year-old how to become a teenager. You can learn it in theory, but you've got to wait a few years before you actually understand what it's like to be a teenager. So you can learn about through me from any level of consciousness, victim or achiever, but actually embodying it and having it be a part of who you are, that takes evolution, not skills. So to go from to me to by me, victim to achiever, where everything happens to me, so everything's going to happen by me, the first thing you have to give up is blame. Blame doesn't work in any area of life. If you're blaming your ex-partner, the economy, the government, doesn't matter. If you learn to take responsibility, personal responsibility for everything that happens in your life, especially the down stuff, then you can move from victim to achiever. You can let go of the chains that bind you to victimhood. And to go from by me to through me, which is really what I teach, what do you have to let go of? You have to let go of the need for control, which is hard when you're trying to manage 1,000 things and all the variables. What do you replace it with? Trust in the fact you live in a friendly universe. Knowledge in something more intelligent than you, more powerful than you, is governing the movie of your life in terms of being able to show up to help you. There is an intelligence that beats your heart, so you don't have to set your iPhone alarm for 3 a.m. to remind yourself to do it. There's something smarter than us at work. Now, some people have a 3-letter word for that, beginning with G. Other people don't ascribe to that model, have different words for it. The label is mostly irrelevant. The travesty of humanity is that we've gone to war for centuries and killed each other over whose label is right. So I'm not into the label, I'm into the acknowledgement of that divine power that allows us to be here and exist. So it was Einstein that said, people look around and say, how can you prove God exists? He says, I look around and say, how can you question the fact he doesn't exist? It's like, wow, look around. So giving up the need for control, replacing it with something bigger than you, not for you, right? It's not about what can I get. It's about who can I become in the process of walking my truth. And if you have that as a mode of living your life, you're going to live a magnificent life, regardless of the ups, the downs, the money in the bank, the money out the bank, the relationships, the breakups. All of that's part of the game of the movie of life for you to be able to experience. Because there's one universal truth for all of us. We're going to have a final scene in this movie. So knowing that in advance, what does it become? It becomes a game of, when I get to the end of my movie, what do I want to be able to say? I want to be able to say, wow, that was spectacular. That is a movie I would pay to watch again. And what makes a great movie, Mohammed? You know as well as I do. It's not a tiny, boring, flat script. It's the drama and the romance and the tragedy and the comedy and the ups and the downs. You want to live at the full range of the peaks and troughs, the vicissitudes of life that allow you to become the best person you can. Nobody pays good money to watch James Bond rescue a kitten out of a tree for 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, from that perspective, what are we here to do? We're here to become the best actors we can be. What does that translate to? How do we choose love over fear in ever more challenging circumstances? Because if you're setting goals, and I know a lot of your tribe set goals, they're in achiever mode. They're not lazy. They're not victims. That's not the kind of people that follow you. They're people that want to become better versions of themselves. And a lot of people do that by trying to set goals that they go after to validate. Well, no. See, there's two real purposes of setting a goal. And one of them is not to achieve the goal. So what's the real purpose of setting goals? The real purpose of setting goals is to see who you need to become in order to achieve the goal. It's a call to your greatness. It's a call to grow. If you set goals you know how to achieve, you're playing too small. But that's where most people set their bar, because they're afraid of failing. I'll set a goal I think I know how to achieve. Where's the room for magic? Where's the room for your chief how officer to show up? Where's the room for God to flow through you to be able to bring the magic in synchronicities, in ways that you didn't see coming, that compel you to go through the challenges? so you can become a better version of yourself, so that you can give more of you to the world.
Very nice. A lot of people say it's easier said than done, or because you've been there, it's working for you. How can you tell people that this is accessible to everyone? Everyone who can put his intention in the right place, these things come to them smoothly, easily. So how is the intention can affect that flow and change in people?
It's not smooth easy. There is no smooth easy. What there is an understanding that if you want to mature emotionally, which is why we're here, I mean, we don't get to choose whether we mature physically. That's built into the rules. But one of the greatest days in a human being's life is the day that they wake up and understand that life is not a comfort-centric experience. Life is a growth-centric experience. And if you see any of the achievers out there that seem to have it easy or seem to be at the top of the mountain, they'll tell you that there's a lot of bumps in the road. There's a lot of scrapes. There's a lot of battle scars that they bear to get through the challenges they did. It's not the fact there's no challenges. It's how do you see challenges? Do you see them as opportunities to grow, or do you see them as God punishing you? Do you see them as, the test at the end of the school year is designed to see if you're ready to go to the next school year? Oh, it's not fair. I don't want these tests. Well, imagine going to Harvard and you've paid $250,000 for your MBA, or your law degree or whatever it is, and you show up and it's a lot of work. It's a lot of sacrifice, a lot of applying yourself. It's a lot of the best part of you having to choose to study, to, all of the things that go with it, not party and skip class. But let's just say the teachers one day says, right, guys, everybody gather in. We've got some great news. You don't have to show up for lectures anymore. There's no more essays. There's no more assignments. Show if you like it, do what you want. Oh, by the way, nobody graduates. Oh, hang on a minute. The reason I'm paying $250,000, the reason I'm showing them to it is because I want to graduate. That's Earth School. You don't get to skip class and run around and try to hide behind the desk when there's a test. You get to show up to be the best of you. Why? We're here to graduate. If you're an athlete, you were born an athlete, but you didn't know you were an athlete, you're going to avoid the workout. You're going to complain that your personal trainer's pushing you and making your arms hurt. But if you're an athlete, and you know you're an athlete, and you were born to get the gold medal, you don't skip the gym. You don't look for ways to cheat on your workout. You embrace it because it's an expression of who you are. You know you're going to have to go through the pain. And if you speak to anybody that stood on that podium at the Olympics and had that gold medal put around their neck, and you ask them, was the sacrifice worth it? You know what they'll say. If you ask, was it easy? You know what they'll say. Hardest road they ever walked. Worth it every second. And that's the medal we were born to get.
Beautiful. So usually in challenges, the body shrinks and goes into tension. And as a result of that, the mind starts giving you thoughts that are a little bit from a fight or flight based. And you say when you relax, the solution presents itself.
Mm-hmm.
How do you maintain a relaxed attitude while having intense situation in life?
Training. There are levels within levels. You don't give a 4-year-old a PhD exam. So if you're new to personal growth, if you've not worked on your emotional mastery, because the reality is very simple. If you can't master your mind or emotions, you will never master your life. Case closed. So start small. Don't say, okay, I'm going to try to handle the passing of my parents or my best friend or whatever it is. No, that's suppression. How do you start in the gym if you're looking to build your body and you've never been in the gym before? With lighter weights. Don't beat yourself up. Don't look at Mr. Universe and think, oh, wow, I'm going to try to lift those weights. It took them a lot of time to get there. I've been in personal growth for 36 years. I've got a lot of training. I can walk into situations that most people would freak out about, not because I'm smart or special. I was in the Slow Learners Club, but I've done it long enough. And so start with small amounts of weight on the bar. If somebody normally upset you because they cut you up in traffic, that's a great place to start. Yeah, letting this, they clearly need the road more than I do. Let me send them some love so they get there safely without hurting themselves or others, rather than be offended because they made a move that didn't fit your pictures. You'll be able to build. It's like an Olympic show jumper on the horse. You take somebody, put them on an Arabian stallion, and if they're an Olympic level show jumper, they could jump something the height of this chair without even knowing it's there. It's nothing. You put someone who's never been on a horse and the horse jumps this chair, they're likely going to fall off. They don't know how to handle it. We all get jumps in life. That's part of the game. Your job is to become a more experienced jumper, and you don't get that by backing off from the jumps. You get them by taking them on. You don't get that by avoiding challenges. You get that by taking them on. You don't get that by avoiding the hard road. You get that by taking it on. That's the difference between knowing you're an athlete and hiding behind the weight stack so the personal trainer doesn't see you.
Okay, nice. So how long does it usually take for a person to start changing his internal environment from to me state to by me, or from by me state to through me?
It happens in the moment of decision. So you take the word decide, desude, from the Latin etymology. It means to cut off, to kill, as in decide, homicide, suicide, matricide, to kill off other choices. If you want to become the person you want to be, you can dabble. I'll give it a try. Well, we know what Yoda said to that, right? There is no try. Do or do, do not do or do not do. There is no try. So if you say, I'm doing this, full stop, period. That's it. The power that goes with that conviction, your heart and mind are fully aligned, and it's done. And we've all had moments like that. It may be when you stood on the scales in the bathroom and the number was like just too big. It's like, I am done eating pizza. Right? Yeah. It may be that you wake up with a hangover and miss an important meeting, or your daughter's college recital, or whatever it may be. I am done with alcohol. There's an I am done moment. There's a line in the sand moment. And if you don't have that for being the best version of you, you're going to be running around. So it doesn't take a lot of time in terms of making the decision. And from that decision, everything starts to then move. I am done playing small. I am done living in fear. I am done putting up with a narcissistic partner in a relationship that doesn't appreciate me. Whatever it may be. There's those kinds of moments where your life takes a new directory and your conviction says, no one's talking me out of it.
Nice. Beautiful. We'll let that land in. So from there, I want to connect it to, we all speak to ourselves, consciously or unconsciously. How do you see the power of words being used to talk to yourself or tell yourself the right things at the right time? How can words change your energy, change the way you look at life?
Our self-talk is everything. The difference between saying, look at what I've lost versus look at what I've learned is the difference in focus between a life of possibility or a life on antidepressants. Whether you say you can or whether you say you can't, you're right, for it's your thinking that makes it so, was the famous quote from Henry Ford. Napoleon Hill said, whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But what's governing that? Your self-talk. I can, I am, I will, I must is a different language to I might, I'll give it a try, or maybe, I'm not sure if I'm cut out for this. The language of how you speak to yourself determines the quality of your life, determines the quality of how much potential comes forward. Turning around yourself and asking better questions. Why does this always happen to me? Your brain will find an answer. Because you're unlucky, because you're an idiot, because your parents said you weren't good enough, because your teacher said you'd never amount to anything. Your brain will find an answer. Turning around asking better questions, saying, What's great about this I've not noticed yet? Or someone says, I can't afford it. The brain will agree, you're right, and shut down. If you ask, how can I afford it? The brain wakes up and goes to work. Your words determine so much in terms of your potential. And what we usually let happen is other people's words program us. We have this entire powerhouse. Somebody comes up and says, I think you're an idiot. And we get offended. We get offended by somebody else's projection from their model of the world, from their movie into ours. You think Brad Pitt cares about what the film extras think of him in the starring role? No. He owns himself. You see someone like Rihanna walk into the room, there's an energy. She doesn't own the room, she owns the building. That's a conviction. Someone says, I don't like her music. Do you think she cares? It's not about being arrogant. It's about owning your power. Because the only person starring in your movie is you. I know that because you're the only one in every single scene of your movie. So when you give your power away to what I call goop, the good opinion of other people, you lose power. So be mindful of your words, and certainly don't get bought into the negative projections of other people, what their opinions are of your movie. When at the end of the day, how many of us all like the same food? No.
Yeah.
So just because I happen to like spicy food and my partner doesn't, am I wrong? No. Many different flowers in the garden. What's better? A tulip or a daffodil? A big tree or a small tree? A 6-year-old or a 10-year-old? No. They're just different, for the age or the size of the tree. They're just at different stages of their own journey, of their own potential of evolution. Just because somebody's more enlightened or spiritual or emotionally masterful doesn't mean to say they're better than you. They're just further along on their own journey.
Nice. When you say that conviction, the knowingness that everything is working for you, everything is with you, there is an environment within you that you want to water every day, that you want to put sunlight to every day, that you want to protect from other people who can come and try to put you down by what they think from their reality. How do you protect it, and how do you take care of this internal environment?
Well, the external environment has a big impact on the internal environment. It's called the law of conformity. If you hang around with 9 recreational drug users, you're going to become the 10th. You hang around with 9 people that look at life through the lens of how we can, not why we can't, that are looking through possibility, not path of least resistance, path of comfort, you're going to become the 10th. Or they're going to kick you out of the gang. So external environment is everything. Peer group is everything. What you program yourself with is everything. Because we don't get to choose whether or not we get programmed. That's just by design. We aren't born with that many instincts. Reptiles don't meet their parents. They don't know what to do. Squirrels don't take classes in university on nut collecting. They just know what to do. So, animals have instincts. We have far less instincts. So we are born with mirror neurons to copy our environment, especially our parents in the first 7 years. That's how we learn. So if we are trained or conditioned or programmed to be conditioned by our environment, set your environment up to win. Turn off the damn news. That's never going to help. Stop scrolling anti-social media. That's not going to help. Choose what you want to be programmed with. See, our body doesn't get to decide whether or not it gets programmed. It's going to adapt to its environment. You put it in the gym, it's going to adapt. You decide to put it in McDonald's, it's going to adapt. You get to choose the environment. The body doesn't get to choose whether it adapts or not. It's the same with the mind. Put your mind in an inspirational environment where you're programming it every day with possibility thinking, reading inspirational books, listening to inspirational people like yourself. And you're going to get a huge amount of benefit because your environment is programming for you. Now you're flowing with the current of the river rather than swimming upstream against it.
Beautiful. One of the main things you speak about, and successful people, even if they don't know it, they do it, is to contribute to life, is to serve people, is to help people. And I see this in your work, and I see the generosity you have in making sure that the point lands, and you put the extra effort to do that, even though you can just end it and still you've done enough. What keeps you hungry to give? What keeps you hungry to not only give this information, but make sure that it lands in the right place with full emotion and love?
Well, we all have our gifts to give. It was said that your mission in life is to discover your gifts. Your purpose in life is to give them away. So for me, at this part of my life, being able to help other people, I spent the last nearly 3 decades doing that, to help people with their mindset to become more of who they are. That doesn't stop because I've arrived at some predetermined place. Like the trees in this garden. Some of them are, 20 meters tall. They say, oh, you can stop growing now, you've arrived. You can stop giving off oxygen now. You can stop cleaning the air now, you've arrived. No, it's just what they do. And when you find your purpose, it's just what you do. It's effortless. I get up early, I stay up late because this is who I am. This is what I do. Be able to help people. It's not like, I could retire tomorrow. I could stop work tomorrow. I don't need the money. I don't need the effort or work. You think Elon Musk works for money? Think Mark Zuckerberg works for money? Think Richard Branson still gets up early and does business for money? They got more money than most sovereign wealth funds, right? No, they do it because it's part of their purpose, their mission, what lights them up. It's what drives them. When you find that, you never have to work a day in your life because what you're doing is part of who you are, giving your gift to the world. For the tree, giving oxygen isn't work. It's what it does.
So to discover your goal or your purpose in life, it's not something that the mind will give you. It's a feeling that you know you're good at. That's what you're saying?
It's part of the treasure hunt as to why we're here. So if you do a treasure hunt, or a scavenger hunt, or whatever it may be, you go on, or an orienteering, you don't say, okay, we're going to start now, we've got a whole day's treasure hunt, a lot of fun, got to go find stuff, Easter eggs, whatever it may be. It's over there. Okay, game over. Where's the fun? The fun is in turning over rocks to discover if they're there or not. The fun is in being able to search the mountain, to find the map, to find the treasure, to dig to see if it's there. That's the game. If you just were born and say, okay, here's your purpose, off you go, there's no treasure hunt. There's no you discovering. There's no you waking up to find if this works or not. It's like when you're growing up, if you know already you were born with knowing what food you like. Well, where's the excitement in finding out? If you go to an amusement park, you try out the rides. Well, that one I'm not going to do again. I didn't enjoy that. That one I like. I'm going to go on it again. And you're going to learn along the way. Don't go on the roller coaster after lunch. So you're going to get feedback. But that's part of the experience of the life of growing up in this incredible amusement park of Earth School to become the best version of who we are so that we can grow in order to be able to contribute the best of who we are back into the world.
Beautiful. Very nice. Okay, so if you want to tell people who are listening now, one thing that will cause them to see challenges and life from a different perspective.
You came here for a reason. 400 million sperm, 1 egg. You won. You were already born good enough. You've got nothing to defend, nothing to conquer, and nothing to prove. Meaning that now you can start the adventure. You're not here to try to prove to your parents, your teachers, the world, that you're finally good enough to get over the fear of or the insecurities as you weren't. I played that game, we all have. The day that I woke up and thought, I was actually born with a gold medal. Wow. Why did I want to be here so badly? It wasn't to live a life of mediocrity. So when those challenges come, if you look at life from the perspective of the muscle fiber, as you're lifting the weights on the bar, what's the muscle fiber doing? It's sending messages to the brain. Help! This is painful. I'm being broken down. Stop. What are you doing? Pain. But if you're approaching it from the mindset of the athlete, You're proud you can bust out that last burning rep and get a personal best. Even if your arms hurt and you can't lift them for an hour or two, you walk around feeling proud. That's the place. You get to ask yourself one question. Do I want to live life as the muscle fiber, complaining at the pain? And not every day and not every moment is the last burning rep. Or do I want to walk around as the athlete? Proud of who I've become as a result of putting in the work. That's the game to play.
Amazing. Thank you very much for your usual inspiration. And one thing before we leave is you use a lot of analogies in the way you speak. Actually, 99% of the way you speak is analogies.
Mm-hmm.
And they stick for some reason. So is that an art of speaking in this way? Or why do you usually use analogies, and how do you master saying these analogies?
The brain is wired to try to make sense of things, and it doesn't like open loops. It likes to close the loop. It likes to understand. It struggles to live in the space of a question, which is a good muscle to build. But if you are looking at something you don't know, the brain will find something it does know to try to fit over to make sense. Mm-hmm. So all I do is I bring in ways to make it understand by using things it already knows to help new concepts make sense. That's simply why I do analogies and metaphors. Did I get good at them? I don't know. They flow through me.
Nice.
It's part of the gift that, we all have different gifts. Yeah. I don't have many. That probably seems to be one of mine.
Okay. That's balance and harmony.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Feel great. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. Feel great now.
That's it.
Thank you.
Pleasure, my friend.
Thank you.